The ultimate purpose of this series of videos is to take a deep look into the meanings, subconscious messages, and ancient references and influences on the US cinema industry. And while these are just theories, their validity will remain open to discussion. As for AI, Artificial Intelligence by Steven Spielberg, the film suggests a specific narrative and interpretation of the Book of Genesis, just like exactly how Truman Show did. Unlike The Truman Show, which portrays and dramatizes the events of Genesis, AI takes us a bit further, showing a possible future humanity could achieve in its continuum of creation, though not necessarily in the way God intended. Again, I am emphasizing I do not claim that these films are created solely to implant these motives or thoughts in our minds. What am I saying is that by watching them, these theories and understandings naturally arise. And I must admit, behind its seemingly innocent surface, AI is in fact a grim retelling of the story of Adam. In the film, the creator, the mind behind Cybertronics, designs an AI child who symbolizes Adam. Within him, he instills a potential, a need, a desire, something that cannot be defined by material or physiological terms. At the very beginning, the creator speaks of AI's ability to love, something spiritual, something that belongs exclusively to humans, something marvelous like the soul itself. And this AI child, who receives the sympathy of the camera throughout the film, is placed into a supposed heaven, a home and a family. But soon he realizes his differences, his solitude, his isolation. And here, isolation is not the result of sin or error, but of miscreation. Well, compare this with the Book of Genesis. Adam eats the forbidden fruit, violates God's law, and finally he is banished from the Garden of Eden. AI suggests that original sin was not truly born from free will or conscious choice, but of an inevitable inner push, the result of God's flawed creation, not the work of an all-knowing deity, but of a creator who does not fully understand his creation. When you consider why this AI child was forced out of his home, you may point to his troubling acts, like cutting his mother's hair or nearly drowning his brother. These appear as objective sins, cinematic parallels to Adam's disobedience, but in truth, they are not his fault. He had no ultimate intention or higher purpose. He was simply being himself, following the reactive role of his design. And in the end, his mother abandons him, the only being in the world capable of returning his love. And once again, there is no one to blame but the creator. Even when David finally meets his maker, he finds that the creator does not truly know what he wants. The film's message is that God is far from all-knowing, and because of this flaw, the events of Genesis unfolded. Instead of acknowledging his failure, God unreasonably placed the blame on Adam rather than on his own miscreation. And as I explained in my Truman Show video, this echoes the core belief of many occults and secret societies, that true sin lies not in humanity, but in the imperfect design of its creator. So humans must rise against this creator and design a world as best as it suits him, just like the story of Tower of Babel. Thus, AI stands as a retelling of Genesis. This film goes further, continuing the story of humanity itself. Our character David embarks on a journey to transform himself into what he believes is the key to his redemption, becoming a real boy and returning to his home with his mother. This is, in essence, a rebellion against the will of the creator. But where does this idea come from? Presumably from a book, The Story of Pinocchio. A fairy tale convinces David that he must become a real boy in order to be accepted by his mother's love, or more frankly, in order to be allowed back in the Garden of Eden, by following the divine laws and avoid committing sins. After being abandoned by his mother, David sets out to find the blue fairy who he believes can transform him into a real boy. His journey begins in the forest, and then leads to a pyre. From there he meets another android, a sexual worker named Gigolo Joe. Together they travel to Rouge City, which in essence is the archetypal of Sin City. Within this place of temptation, they encounter Dr. No, a search engine that masquerades as an oracle. Following its guidance, they travel to the drowned ruins of the New York City, where David finally comes face to face with his creator. Each of these locations represents not merely a physical step, but a symbolic stage of the humanity's journey toward divinity and existential redemption. The first place, the forest, is the realm of survival. From the dawn of time, when humans first faced the world, the most primal instinct has always been the drive to survive. It is the first test that one must pass. But once survival is secured, the next pursuit is of pleasure. The next destination is Rouge City, a postmodern cyber city, a hub of lust and prostitution and sex-oriented businesses. Interestingly, David goes there to find information about the Blue Fairy. Have you ever wondered why he finds answers in such a place? He could have gone to a library or an archive or some academic institution. But no, he must enter the Red City to find the Blue Fairy. The film seems to suggest that understanding comes through the pursuit of pleasure. There is no other reason to put this answering machine in a city of lust. The idea of finding knowledge from lust echoes with the words of occultist Aleister Crowley. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Crowley believed that surrendering to desire without boundaries, rules, or moral constraints leads to true understanding. This is the core belief of his religion, Thelema. Likewise, as our AI, the metaphorical Adam, sets foot in this city of lust, he finds answers to his questions. Some might ask about the connection between Rouge City and Dr. No, claiming it is mere coincidence. But there is a deep historical precedent linking lust to wisdom. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest written stories, there is a character named Enkidu, which is often seen as a parallel to Adam. Initially, Enkidu lives harmoniously with the wild creatures, untouched by human knowledge. But after a harlot sleeps with him for 7 days, his life changes. He loses his connection to the wild, gains wisdom, and becomes human-like, suddenly aware of good and evil, and aware of his difference from the animals of the forest. Scholars have noted parallels between this story and Genesis, with even some suggesting that the apple of knowledge represents sexual awakening. Whether true or not, the comparison demonstrates an ancient belief. Wisdom is the offspring of the divine desire. In AI, Rouge City is not just a cyberpunk sin district. It embodies this idea. Through the pursuit of knowledge, one must confront desire and indulgence, much like Enkidu did. The presence of Dr. No in the city reinforces this message. The path to understanding is entwined with temptation. There is also another interpretation based on Hegel's law of contradiction, that from the Red City arises the Blue Fairy. This suggests a symbolic birth of understanding from a dystopian society. While this is an interesting reading, I believe the deeper meaning lies in the ancient association of lust and wisdom as illustrated by Enkidu's story. The events goes on and they find Dr. No. When David and his companion ask Dr. No about the location of the Blue Fairy, he directs them to the long-sunken city of New York. Dr. No describes the city as at the end of the world where the lions weep. This description might remind some viewers like me of Atlantis. Plato believes that the location of Atlantis is beyond the Pillars of Hercules, at the edge of the known world. And the idea of a sunken city at the edge of the world might remind us about the location of Atlantis. Atlantis is often believed to be as a repository of secret knowledge and advanced technology. In a similar way, the sunken city of New York houses the creator of David, the mind behind Cybertronics, who possesses a far superior technology. Of course, I'm not claiming that this interpretation is definitive. The connection might be coincidental, or it could be a subtle nod to the idea that the pursuit of wisdom requires venturing into the realms of lost knowledge or ancient mysticism. Even if we can't be certain, the parallels, location, lost technology, and hidden wisdom suggest that the film might be inviting viewers to consider David's journey as a symbolic quest through layers of historical, spiritual, and existential meaning. At the final stage of David's quest, he finally encounters his creator. The creator tries to persuade David to remain under his authority, yet not fully understanding the true nature, needs, or identity of his creation, he loses David again. This could be interpreted in a theological sense. Some might see parallels to the God of Old Testament, who intervenes directly when feeling threatened or challenged, which the creator in the movie finally does this. He intervenes personally in David's quest for his redemption. However, David ignores his creator's authority and continues to pursue a destiny that he alone can shape. He seeks to fulfill his own wishes by communicating instead with a mysterious entity, the Blue Fairy, rather than submitting to the will of the one who brought him into the existence. And off to find this entity, he stumbles upon a figure of the Blue Fairy, and he starts asking to become a real boy. Ages passed, aliens come to the earth and grant David's wish. As I discussed with you in the Aladdin video, the concept of genie granting wishes is one of the most famous topics in Oriental folklore. And here David asks the Blue Fairy for his wish. Is there any relation between the Blue Genie and Blue Fairy? In my opinion, yes. The Blue Fairy is in fact the parallel of the Blue Genie from ancient folklore, a non-physical being with enough power to grant wishes. The film is portraying a genie as the Blue Fairy, and despite what Spielberg said, that those creatures at the end of the film were advanced mechas, I don't believe this to be true. First, whatever made humans go extinct should have had the same outcome for mechas too. Second, if the mechas survived, how is it that David is the only primordial one who stayed alive? Thirdly, if the film's intention was to show advanced mechas, well, then it did a very poor job, because when most people see them, they would instantly think of them as aliens with their looks and high-tech speeders. Despite the facts, I would like to go with the aliens theory, because in the scheme that I am trying to present, only them being aliens will work. There is a theory amongst many famous occultists that the ancient gods probably had an essence of truth to them. Many of them believed that those were aliens who had far superior technology than man. And after centuries, they became part of human culture as demons, gods, genies, and fairies. And the concept of granting wishes is intertwined with these metaphysical beings. Whether they are aliens or other forms of entities is an interesting subject which is not for this video. The film shows David back to his home, his Garden of Eden. But now he has his mother and his home, not restricted by the laws of his creator, but it is a garden that he created by his own will. The house that the creator put David in wasn't fit for him, because the creator didn't understand what he had created. So now this free creation, David, leaves the house, the Garden of Eden, in hopes of creating a Garden of Eden without boundaries and laws of his creator. For this wish to be realized, he needed the help of some metaphysical, multi-dimensional being, the fairy, which is revealed in the form of something like an alien who can fulfill his wishes. To do so, he has to find the city of desires and lost. Then out of that, he will have the wisdom to find the location of the fairy. And with the help of this fairy, he gains what he wants, a Garden of Eden, not from the Creator, but through his mystical journey of disobedience from his Creator's will. That is what every occultist and many secret societies believe. All these themes and interpretations of the Old Testament and the ancient and occult connections to unknown entities in Hollywood movies are a matter to consider. And it's interesting that how a society based on the foundations of modernism and capitalism is looking so much towards ancient beliefs and occultic views of different religions and mystical practices. Well, I hope you relate to these theories and ideas and facts about the film, and I hope you find these interesting. Thanks for watching. God bless you.